Ladies and gentlemen, episode 105 of the DrewCast, guys. Welcome back. I'm excited. I'm excited because we are here with you guys. Been dealing with some audio issues, so gotta fix the. Had to work out a little. We had to strong on my this end a little bit, So today, guys, we're gonna start off with. I kind of wanted to get into. I talk about this a lot, by the way. So, don't mind me, but I've mentioned this before, and I've mentioned how on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube. Well, not mainly YouTube. I read the YouTube comments way more, but I've been dealing with as the platform gets bigger, right? That's the goal, right? Your goal is to make the platform bigger, and as it grows, you want more people to come, even if it's bad comments, because you've made a comment in the past, Justin, where you're like, hey, even if it's bad comments, it's good because that means people who don't know you, they're commenting. Even if it's bad, that's good for the algorithm, which I agree. So recently with the Instagram Reel success and the continued success of TikTok, added on top of the YouTube Shorts doing really good, we're getting a lot more comments, which I'm blessed to see that, because that's every podcaster's dream is more people interacting with you, right? But I struggle a lot lately because I feel like I'm just having fun here. My goal is to entertain the people who watch us or listen to us, right? Shout out to you guys on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. My goal is to entertain. My goal is we talk about thought-provoking things, whether it's funny, whether it's scary stuff, whether it's stuff that involves space or stuff that involves celebrities or just pop culture stuff. My goal is to entertain you, because life fucking sucks, bro. You might be going through something right now, and maybe a joke that me and Justin said gets you through the day. Maybe you find out something about the James Webb Telescope that you're like, hey, you know what? I learned something. Thanks, guys. I was going through some shit this week. I learned a bunch of stuff about space. You made my day better. My goal is that. That's every entertainer's goal, is hey, I want to make your day better while you're viewing me and watching us, right? That's the goal here. So, but sometimes you get those comments, man. And lately I've been posting a lot of our space and alien stuff on Instagram Reels, obviously on every platform that I have. And those comments, bro, it kind of sucks, man. I've been getting some real shitty ones. People threatening me with physical violence too in my inbox. And I just think that's that's crazy to me. That I went from barely any subscribers or barely any followers, and now I have legit people in my inbox threatening me with violence and stuff, dude. I did a podcast segment one time where I actually talk about a guy who did that. I think his name was Haas Bog or Bog Haas. He was this fucking chubby white guy who was a nerd. He was threatening me. Bro, you're not a good rapper, bro, and I'm gonna destroy you, bro. And he was friends with somebody that me and Dustin grew up with, and he's like, hey, I don't know why he messaged you that, my bad. But again, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because I get that shit all the time now. People threatening me with physical violence, hey, your dumb little podcast, your shitty little podcast. And it's damn, bro, it's kind of jarring to see that. Hey, me just trying to entertain and make clips and, post stuff that gets people talking. Especially earlier last week, my Shauna Rae clip, man. I posted a clip about Shauna Rae, talking about her condition. Now, I didn't make fun of her. I want to make that very clear right now. I did not make fun of Shauna Rae. Her condition is fucked up, bro. That must suck for her. She's a grown-up, dude. But she can't have a normal relationship because people are going to look at her boyfriend and be like, this guy's a fucking creep, right? I addressed that part. I definitely addressed that part, and my heart goes out to people who have that condition, because that must suck. But I had a bunch of fucking dick eaters in my comment section. You little whiny American, and you entitled Americans, and your age of consent. People were going in on me, bro. You read the comments, right?
That doesn't surprise me, because me and you have talked about that before, where I don't know if it's China or Japan. It could be both. I know Italy has something like that.
Their age of consent's really low in Italy and France. Yeah.
There was a guy who got caught up, who did Twitch streaming.
Mm-hmm.
He got caught up because he fucked one of his 14-year-old fans, and he was 19 or 20. But
crazy,
the thing is he was admitting it and talking about it yeah, I did,
that's crazy, bro.
because the age of consent is 14 over there, apparently, where you can give consent and it's completely legal for them, as long as you're not somebody who's in a position of power over that person, like, you know, a teacher or an
Oh, like someone at your
employer.
job. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, yeah.
And a lot of people in the comments don't get this, right? They're like, is it for, let's say in France, if the age of consent is 14, like, yes, it's legally okay, but is it morally okay, right? The age of consent could
But
be
they
10 in
might
a
think
country.
that it is morally okay because they don't know any different. Just like
And
how we think differently than them.
you know, you're not wrong, bro. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny that there's nuances to it, right? Like I'm not gonna deny that, right? Like what if a country had an age of consent of 10? Is it okay? Right? I'm just saying,
I don't think
but
so because I don't even think you don't hit puberty, you don't develop, you don't do nothing at
they
10
would
years
probably
old.
argue that it's okay though, right? Like,
I
you know
mean,
what I
they
mean?
could, but then like I think that there's actual like science
Okay,
behind
let's
it.
say Shauna Rae's argument, right? Like somebody with her condition, what if they have it worse? What if they're grown up but they look like they're 4 or 5? Like, you know, what is his name? That the Hasbula or whatever his name is?
Possible, yeah.
Hasbula, yeah. What don't pack me out, Hasbula, you know what I mean? But what if they had Shauna Rae's condition, right? And they literally look like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and talk like a 5-year-old. Like, you know what I mean? Like when does the limits? When do we draw the line, bro? I get it, she's an adult, but it's just those comments, but I had hella fucking comments about that. And I get it. I like the comments, I like the interaction, but like, bro, there was a lot of people mad at me, bro. And I was like,
Yeah,
and
I didn't
Warren, I
understand
know,
it either
and I had,
because you had a very strong,
middle ground stance, I thought.
like, you weren't shitting on her, you weren't supporting her like unconditionally, like you were just kind of giving your opinion on it, but there was people who seemed like you were like attacking her.
Yeah, I know. Warren even said like, "Oh, bro, you were making fun of her." I said, "No, the fuck, I was not making fun of her, bro."
I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
this guy goes, "Oh, I know Justin and Emily didn't agree with you." I'm like, "Yeah, they absolutely fucking
I
agreed with
said it
me."
in the video clip.
Yeah, and I even said that, bro. I'll show you after we're done. But I literally messaged him like, "Yeah, bro, I literally said it." Justin's literally in the clip said he agreed with me. You know, so yeah. At the end of the day, like it's just kind of disheartening, man. And you know, I've been doing this for years now, right? So I should be used to it. I'm gonna work better on it. I'm sorry. Like I feel like I let a lot of my day one people down. Like, hey,
Because
this isn't what we come here for, man.
it is like the hospital thing because like he looks like a 4-year-old kid.
Yeah, dead ass, dude. Sorry, and
How do you like
how
how
as
do
a
you like
woman,
kiss them or like have sex with them or do, you know, anything intimate without?
what if somebody was to say, but what if they're not attracted to their looks though? But that's kind of impossible when they look like a 4-year-old, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people's argument in the Shauna Rae clip, right? They were like, but what if they're not attracted to Shauna Rae physically? Then why the fuck are you dating her, blood?
Yeah.
For real. I know looks aren't everything. They're not, right? Looks are not everything. But you're gonna tell me right now, I'm dating Shauna Rae because of her personality, bro. No, you're not. No, you are not. You can't get past that she looks like a fucking kid. Sorry. And I know people have conditions. And it's fucked up. But you're gonna look, hey, I'm dating her for her personality, bro. So you're just gonna not address the elephant in the room that she looks like a fucking kid?
Even yeah, that yeah. I think you're right.
Sorry, I
'Cause
know.
even if that was true and they did like, you know, love her and were attracted to her personality and who she is, like everything else aside from looks, I feel like you can't ignore the fact that she does look like a fucking 10-year-old.
And it's fucked up, man. She's an adult, right? But you as an adult man, you are making a decision to date her, knowing she looks like a little kid and talks like one, right? So you're going to have to answer to people who have questions about it. Sorry. They see you out in public with their kissing on this girl and you know doing stuff with her, they're gonna look at you. Your people are gonna look at me. Yeah, you're damn right people are gonna look at you because you're fucking dating a girl who looks like my niece, dude. Sorry. And that's just what it is, man. You know, like, and sometimes I get shitty comments about like stuff that like, you know, like if I talk about things that are like complex, like, you know, like complex life. When we talk about that, people get mad about that too. You fucking spreading your ignorance and your shitty podcast about it. Like, bro, like at the end of the day, like, okay, you know, when we did the podcast about, you know, we talked about cataclysms and disasters and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with that is we also came up we also took the middle ground on that topic, right? And I also feel
What's
like,
the middle ground?
well, the middle ground is like, hey, this, this isn't 100% fact. This is just stuff that we read, stuff that we watched, that type of stuff. And I made a joke online. I was like, oh, Earth needs to happen again because we need to reset the swamp, bro. Like,
That's not even
clearly,
like a middle ground. I didn't even really think there was a stance on that aside
you know,
from me and you just like speculating about it.
my stance on cataclysms. Yeah, no, for real though. But like I wanted to even add this in last week when we talked about the cataclysms, right? What I wanted to add to that topic was it kind of seems like to me, right, if this has happened before this, and I wanted to add this in last week when we talked about it, but whatever, like let's say this is a simulation or something is controlling us or something or God, whatever, right? Like let's say every 6,000 years we get a time limit, right? Hey, everybody on Earth, you get 6,000 years to show me you could do this right. You guys, as a society, let's see what you do. And at the end of that 6,000 or 12,000 years, if I don't like what's happening, I'm gonna flood the earth. You know when God came to Noah
Mm-hmm.
and God flooded the earth because of all the fucked up shit that was happening, and he warned Noah. That could be like that. That makes hella sense, doesn't it? That makes hella sense to me. That whatever the entity or God or whatever you believe in, right? Because I know people who are watching, not everybody believes in the same God or the same religion or spirituality, whatever. But let's say it. Let's say they say, hey, let's give it another 6,000. And if they're continuing to do fucked up shit and like not being good people, wipe it out again. And let's restart. And, I wanted to add that in because that was a pretty clever tie-in. And I totally forgot about that last week. So my bad, guys, that I'm bringing it up now. But, since we were talking about like the comment section being hella weird. And the comment section was weird during that one too, but it wasn't as bad as the Shauna Rae clip or the alien stuff I've been doing. Because like speaking of last week, we talked about Project Bluebeam, we talked about a bunch of other stuff. This might have been floated out there before by somebody. So again, if I'm misquoting somebody, I apologize. But it would be kind of cool, right? If imagine a super advanced life out there got to the point where they're like, hey, we got to see if there's anything else out here. Let's send these, what they would call a drone, so it would be a UFO. Let's send these things out into the universe and they're going to find life. And when they find life on these planets, they're going to study it. They're going to keep record of it, record it, track it, and then they're going to report back to us. That would be cool, bro. Wouldn't that be hella cool? Listen, if it's like some super crazy, it could either be an alien or like an AI or some super crazy intelligent civilization that sent these things out there to like find life, and when it does, it's like recording, taking samples of our DNA, taking samples of our animals, and then they send it back to like, hey, this planet did, and it's in this part of the galaxy or this part of the universe. It's in the Virgo supercluster. What do you guys think about that one? That one is actually pretty creepy. Which leads me, before we get into our last topic of the night, I did a segment about a year and a half ago, and I was talking about the Shrug segment. And for people who don't know, or if you're new to the channel, it was basically, here's an example, right? So let's say you see somebody push an old lady to the ground and you're just like this, you keep walking. Or like a village. You see a village getting mistreated, whatever, and everybody just goes, So the Shrug segment is basically like everybody kind of collectively just saying, right? So to circle back to the comment sections that I've been kind of dealing with, I don't understand why everybody has a problem. It's like everybody struggles with the question when it comes to like the unknown or anything that requires an answer that we don't understand, right? When you bring up anything, Dustin, like let's say, hey, the 9 to 5's kind of not working, we weren't really meant for this. You get like a ton of pushback on stuff that like, shouldn't we as a people be asking those type of questions instead of shutting each other down? Like, let's say even if you're somebody that doesn't have an open mind, right? You're somebody that doesn't believe in anything and like, you guys are hippies and communists, like, those type of people. And we're related to a lot of those people. I mean, I got called a liberal one time by my uncle. I'm not a fucking liberal, dog. Do I look like one? No. So I'm not a liberal, but it's weird how like when it comes to those type of questions, we bully people and we don't even talk about that shit. Like we're so programmed and easily manipulated as a group, as a whole, because there's individuals, right? There's individuals in our society that like they will ask the questions, they will talk about the taboo topics, right? But as a whole, like as a society, we're like really easily manipulated, right? So the problem is that every time you ask anything, people just seem to want to shut you down, whether or not it's in a comment section or in real life, or it has to do with anything. people are like so quick to be like, hey, nah, dude, don't talk about that. And that's what it seems like some of you, not you guys who are actually like supporters of me, but people who like watch the clips and then maybe they come to the podcast to see what the podcast is about. And not everybody has to like my podcast. I don't really give a fuck about that, bro. Like, I'm just here to like entertain and have fun. So if you end up not liking my podcast, cool. I don't care. You go in the comment section and say, everybody gets a podcast now, huh? Everybody, the puppet right here, everybody gets a podcast. Like he's talking about aliens again. He's talking about fucking transgender people and Hogwarts Legacy and like, cool, do that. Talk about it. But
what I think is because like you're kind of out, like, I don't know if is outspoken the right word?
Maybe it is. I am a
what
little
is outspoken like really? I think it's just like you have like a strong opinion on something one way or the other.
Yeah,
I think it's because you're outspoken on certain things that people are just like, who the fuck is this guy? Who does he think he is?
Yeah, the guy goes, oh, so just because, remember the lizard people video?
Yeah, you think there's fucking lizard people? This guy's an idiot. Like, I think
have
it's
you
because
fucking met the people in power, bro? Like, how the fuck do you know? It's like, hey, I'm just talking and like and conveying my feelings to you on the camera. You don't have to like it. Like, I'm not one of those people that wants everybody to like my. I mean, obviously, I want everybody to like my podcast, right? But I know it, they're not going to, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody. Like that would be a lie if I said I'm for all of you. I'm not for all of you, even for the people who support me. Like, you may support me and like me, but like at the end of the day, like, we don't agree on everything, and that's okay, bro. Like, that's the essence of what I'm doing. The essence of, like, I like to talk about the tough stuff, the tough questions, the stuff that people may not even like talking about. It needs to be talked about because as a collective, we don't do that. Whether it's God or life after death or aliens or any of like the crazy shit that like people say is taboo or out there, which it's not out there. You guys are just fucking sheep. That is not out there. I don't consider that type of stuff out there. You know what I mean? But you can't have that conversation with everybody. Aliens, God, life after death, or any of the ghost, whatever. You cannot have that conversation with everybody. And that's also a conversation I feel like people aren't ready for. Because look at your everyday life and the people around you. Now, you can list them. Mom, dad, sister, sister-in-law, cousin, whatever, right? You list them down. You can't have those conversations with everybody. And it sucks. I feel like there's a word that a lot of UFO people use recently called compartmentalized, where like each group has its own thing and they don't converse with other groups. And I feel like people at like a really small level, or maybe it's even a big level, they tend to do that too. Where, I mean, fuck, I know my friends do it as a joke, and so sometimes I get butthurt, and I shouldn't be butthurt when they say this, but as a joke, my friends will be like, they'll call me a hippie, or, oh, Andrew, stop doing shrooms, and, it used to really bother me, but I know they're joking. But that's like a thing that everybody does know. Like, if you talk about, like, they're really good, whoever is in charge of propaganda, they're really good at, like, hey, if these people start talking about this, they're hippies. And just start demonizing them to the point where they won't even want to talk about the shit that we're doing on the side. Have you ever heard that someone like the CIA works with like remote viewing? Remote view. Yeah. Okay. So there will be like declassified documents talking about remote viewing. That they believe the universe is a hologram that's like shaped like a donut. Crazy out there stuff like MK Ultra and that type of stuff. They can do that on the side, and they can do all the cool, crazy stuff and talk about it. But they got it to where you, as a everyday citizen, talks about it. Your neighbors will like bully you, or people in public will like call you a hippie or say you're like crazy or you're like off, even though they're doing it on the side in secret projects and like advancing certain things.
What I think it comes down to is like it's sort of like religion in a way, where like if you, I don't even know what me and you can use this as an example of, but like, if you show somebody like that you strongly believe and invest your life into something that sounds like crazy and like too good to be true and like just completely unfathomable, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy, you're an idiot, just you're whatever.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if I'm sitting here talking to you about Jesus this, Jesus that, you should follow the Lord, the Bible this, and Jesus, like some people don't want to hear that shit. I don't care. This guy's a kook. Cool. We'll use like flat Earth for an example. Like if I come to you and I'm like, hey, Andrew, there's proof of this, there's proof of this. These guys said it and then they were killed later. Why can't we see this on Google Maps? Blah, blah, blah. And I start giving you a bunch of shit on like why I believe flat Earth is flat Earth.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, this just sounds like this guy is clearly invested into something that I don't think is even remotely real. This guy is crazy. He's stupid. Because the same thing was like that with aliens at one point.
Yeah, like
you can
aliens
literally be like, hey, dude, I'm not lying to you. I was fucking abducted. I was taken to a white room. They shoved something in my body. They fucking spoke to me in my mind. I'm not lying to you. That's what happened. But you are going to be like, hey, bro, that sounds crazy. That sounds stupid. Like,
yeah, because don't you think you're kind of programmed to feel like that, though? You're kind of programmed to tell your friend.
So because you said that, though. You're like, yeah, whoever's in control of propaganda. I don't think it's like somebody like propaganda, whatever the fucking word is. I don't think it's somebody pushing a propaganda about anything. I think that's kind of just how we're programmed to, if we hear something that just sounds like incomprehensible, like we just brush it off because it just sounds dumb. When like you and James have Jay Fitty, you guys have talked about like shroom trips or like acid trips or like ayahuasca,
and I've told you some of the crazy stuff I've experienced on shrooms, right?
But like to somebody who doesn't do that, or to somebody who's not knowledgeable about anything like that, when you tell them like, yeah, bro, I took a shroom trip and I was in fucking space with God and he was telling me about, like, they're gonna look at you and be like, hey, dude, like,
I know
you just don't,
but like, okay, so
it all kind of goes hand in hand with like just how people receive information that just doesn't sit normally.
It's kind of funny you brought that up because there was a couple times I was scared to tell you about that kind of stuff because I'm like, yeah, I know Justin's gonna think like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, dog? But when you're experienced, like Jay Fitty's experienced it, like when you experience what I'm talking about,
didn't he say he like he felt like he died for like a short period of time?
Yeah, and like there's a couple of shroom trips where I felt like I died, but you're right. Like unless you experience it, it's hard to tell somebody who's not really into that because it's like, well, what? Like, you want me to believe that? It's crazy because like I'll tell people about my shroom trip. I'm like, oh yeah, like I went to the end of time, the beginning of time. I like literally saw how time was created because some people really do believe that like shrooms and like ayahuasca and shit was put here for you. Like that is literally like a spiritual technology type of device that people say that like can show you like crazy ass shit, right? So remember I told you that the other day at the park I was telling you like, hey, Dustin, what if shrooms, since they're on this planet, right? What if it just like downloads everything that Earth has ever done and everything that's ever come in contact with Earth, so that when you do take shrooms, you're like downloading hella shit into your brain, or ayahuasca, right? Like you're downloading a bunch of crazy shit and it's just like hella overwhelming for you because like, at a human level, you're not ready for that. I mean, imagine it's like putting a USB into like a slow ass computer and trying to put a bunch of movies onto it at the same time. And it's like, okay, I don't got the right RAM for this. Don't got the right processor. Got a Celeron processor. So, but yeah, you guys comment below. What do you think about that type of stuff? It's interesting, and I'm gonna work better in the future with the comment section. I don't want to entertain that type of stuff anymore. That's not why you guys are here. That's not why me and Justin are here. So yeah, before we leave though, season 4 part 1 has been out for a minute. I just finished it. We're gonna talk about it because I think what they did this season that I didn't think they were gonna do, it's like really different, bro. Like this season is not like Joe fucking like stalking women and doing all that shit. He does go to another country for that girl, but she's like in one episode, bro, and she's like barely in the show.
Yeah,
she has like she's like in one episode, and then like it's mainly him and a bunch of rich people, and like somebody's killing these rich people.
I was telling Ben though, like, you don't think they had to do that? They kind of had to do something like that,
make it different,
or else it was just going to be 4 seasons of him
stalking women and
recycling the like literally the same story.
They had to, yeah. It was like really different though. Like he's almost like a good guy now. Like he didn't like kill anybody like on purpose this time. Like, and it was almost like a murder mystery too. I really liked that about this season. That like who did it, and I felt so good because Emily thought it was his student. And I thought it was that blonde the author guy.
Yeah.
His friend that he like wrote the book. Because I'm a big fan of your book, right? Like I was like, oh, I think it's him. So I was vindicated on that part. But I thought some crazy shit like Love was gonna come back, and she didn't really actually die, and I was like, bro, please, like I love Love, that's my girl, but like don't do some like zombie Gwen type shit where like you bring her back from the dead and Love's like a zombie, or like Joe, I'm here, like like one last like fucking she's like deformed and shit, like that'd be crazy. But I'm excited for part two. I did talk to you. I talked to you the other day after we went to the park. We were at a place eating, and I did talk to you about this, but I could see why somebody would say it's boring. Like I could see why, if you're a fan of season 1, 2, and 3, why you wouldn't like season 4 of You. Like if you're used to like Joe stalking and like being a
Like
creep,
chasing a love interest.
yeah, like if you're used to that, I don't think you will like season 4. I know, Kylie made a comment about how she thought it was boring and was like on her phone most of the time. I can see why.
Which is really weird because she's the fucking one who.
Made you watch that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I like Knives Out and Glass Onion, so I like the murder mystery type stuff. So that didn't really bother me, and I was enjoying trying to find out who was doing all this. Like, oh, what if it's this person? And I came to the conclusion that it ended up being the guy that it ended up being. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Well, if you're watching this part, then it's spoilers already. But yeah, I'm excited for part 2 of season 4, man. I don't know why they split it. Maybe it's because like in the beginning of March they're gonna do the whole you can't account share thing anymore. So if you want to watch part 2, you gotta fucking pay money.
Well, what I think happened is because they did the same thing for Stranger Things. I think that they eventually did not reshoots, but like they probably did like a bunch of shooting at like a completely different time
And like split it up
and like had to kind of split it up in order to
get Jenna Ortega.
get the right content together.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, maybe that too. Because
Yeah.
for Stranger Things, they had like the whole COVID situation happen kind of towards the release date. It wasn't as restrictive with like guidelines and stuff. So maybe they filmed or refilmed or decided to add things to it to now that they could.
That makes sense.
So I think that they might have done that for You because like me and you were talking about it, how she wasn't able to film for that season because she was doing Wednesday. Maybe she was done doing Wednesday at a certain like window of time, and they did some filming with her or something, and then
That'd be interesting.
they got to put that together.
Like, she is one of Netflix's biggest stars right now. You get Jenna Ortega for season 5 at least.
Because
too,
they
season
haven't
4.
really done that with any of their shows at all. I think this is like the second one that they
They split into parts.
So like, why would they? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Joe seemed more like a good guy this season too. Like he didn't really come across as like a bad guy, and like you kind of felt like, I kind of feel bad, Joe. What, bro? And like, so it's different. And I like it, but I can see why people wouldn't like it if you're used to like the stalking and the murdering of women, and like the creepy Joe. Like,
I mean, he still kind of does that with the girl Kate.
Yeah, he does stalk her. Like, it was kind of funny. Like he kept staring at her while he was drinking coffee, and she would catch him multiple times. She's like, I know it's you, Joe. Yeah, when he wakes up from that night out and that guy Malcolm is dead on his table, I was like, Joe, bro, what? Like, because you don't know at first, right? You think it's him. Like, Joe, dog, what? We came here to get away from that, bro. And then, do you know what's actually hella funny too? We brought this up, but the hitman, you go all this way to get Joe, you get Joe, and you don't kill him? You're like, hey, I usually don't do this, but I'll let you go if you give me money. And I'll give you a brand new identity and everything. Like, that was like, what is going on right now? Just kill him. You already came here. You traveled all the way to another country to get to this guy. You find him. You're a hitman. Do your fucking job. If I'm Love's dad, I need Joe's head, bro. Like, for real, I need Joe's head on a platter. Nah, I'm just gonna text him and say everything's good. No, bro. Like, that was crazy. That was such a weird plot hole. I don't even know if that's a plot hole, but that was so weird how he was just like, hey, like, I don't do this, bro, but I'll let you slide, Joe.
Yeah, they didn't even have to add that in. So that makes me, I wonder if he's going to return.
I hope so, because that literally, you could probably take that part out and it literally doesn't affect
Yeah,
it
doesn't do anything at all.
So, but yeah, that is tonight's episode, guys. Thank you for joining me for episode 105. I had a blast. I hope you guys did too. Like always, my disembodied voice, Justin, was here with us. And if you're new here, we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook. I'm annoying. I'm annoying, bro. I'm on everything. Pause. And we say pause a lot here too. But yeah, until next time, peace.